from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended.
Well, you slipped through the fissure too, did you? Hunting for demons? Try one of the archstones.
Welcome back to the Demon Soul Scratch Builds. Today's menu is going to be Phalanx, the first boss of Boletaria, with a side of hoplites, the smaller little goop creatures that protect the boss itself. So first we decide on the base sizes for both Phalanx and the hoplites. For the hoplites, I decided to use 40mm bases, as 25 and 32mm bases were a little cramped. As for Phalanx, I had wanted to use another wooden disc like I did for Vanguard, but it was too small, so I instead used this circular piece of plastic styrene sheeting I had cut out in the past for something I honestly don't remember. But whatever it was exactly 4 inches across, so I just rolled with it. The key to this project is this white LED tea light. Everything at the craft store was a yellow tea light, so I had to order the white ones in particular from Amazon. I used a piece of leftover parchment paper from my wet palette to make a small little template that I could use to cut out an access hatch, so I can access the underside and turn on the light and change a battery in the future if I need to. After I cut out that access hatch, I glue the tea light to the base, then laugh at my crooked ass candle and glue it on straight. The majority of the body of Phalanx is going to be made with this plastic 3-inch dome I found at Hobby Lobby. Before we glue it on, I want to frost the inside of the plastic. So what I did is I grabbed some rough sandpaper and generally sanded it in a circular motion. You see here I'm kind of moving the piece instead of the sandpaper. After I used that rough initial pass, I went back in with some finer grit. This sandpaper was about 400, just to help smooth it out a little bit more. Here I glued a piece of scrap parchment paper on top of the light to help diffuse it some more, but I think I just ended up removing this later. It didn't help very much. Before I glue the dome down onto the base, I take a second to mix some milliput to sculpt the base. I follow this up with my Green Stuff World stone texture rolling pin, texturing a little more with a ball of tin foil, and a mix of clay cat litter and sand for broken bits of stone and to break up the monotony of stone, cobblestone thingies. Now let's jump back in game to take a look at the hoplite shield. It's a fairly distinct shield, so unfortunately there's no real shield we can just cut and paste or substitute in. Plus it's of a fairly large size compared to our player character. Plus I would need multiples for the whole build, so instead of trying to outsource something, let's digitally kitbash our own. For the base of the shield, we're going to be using an STL of the Hylian shield from The Legend of Zelda. We're also going to use this smaller shield shape and cut pieces off of the spin ring. All of these files were found on Thingiverse, and links will be in the description. We start off by selecting the entire face of the shield and using the erase and fill option to smooth the entire shield out and erase the Hylian iconography from the face. It's not perfect, but it's good enough at a glance. Next, we take the smaller shield shape and place it in the center of the shield. Next, I use a plane cut to slice off one side of the spin ring and angle them to represent the bands found on the shield. Whenever I get one side looking right, I copy it and mirror it over to the other side. It's not perfect, especially there in the middle, but it's going to be good enough for now. I take it into Chitu box and print out a batch or two. There we go. Not bad, actually. After painting the inside area with a sloppy black base coat, I glue on the plastic dome with some super glue. I'm going to start off with the hoplites, building the basic body out of a ball of foil. Before gluing that down though, I make a base for each hoplite I'm making, 3 in total. I've fashioned the hoplite spear in particular out of a styrene rod inserted into a hollow Q-tip shaft thing. It was a bit unnecessary to make something like this. I could have saved myself some time by just using toothpicks, which is what I ended up doing later anyways. Here I also glue on the shield before sculpting the body, which I really shouldn't have done. In this kind of scenario, it's better to build the body, then glue on the shield after, to avoid having the shield block all the detail and cracks you can't reach. I built on top of the body with some more milliput. This one being milliput fine white putty. I just ran out of the other kind I used earlier. They both work just fine. While that was curing, I take to assaulting the plastic dome of Phalanx with my glue gun. I glue around the base and also work on setting up a baseline body shape using the glue gun, gluing in mostly horizontal lines and smoothing over a few parts and blending them in by remelting and smoothing it with the tip of the gun itself. Now here I begin to apply the warped flesh I used on other past builds. This is just Mod Podge microwaved for a minute. I did a video on it in more detail in the past if you're interested. Now the top of Phalanx has this small bundle of twists and tentacles on top. For the larger ones, I wrap green stuff around a paperclip armature, and for smaller ones I just roll out long sausages and thinner tentacles to decorate. After I'm done with the upper area, I finish the body texture, layering the hot glue on over the edges of the green stuff I had just put down to help it blend into the body and make it look like, one united being, I guess. I also utilized the texture of super glue on top of Mod Podge after poking it with a toothpick because it comes out really nice and I have a bit more control over it, so I use it for most of the smaller areas. Here I start working on the spears, and I had a bit of a lapse in memory. I could have sworn that the spears they all wielded had small little flags or banners on the spear shaft, so I made it out of cut up paper towel and soaked in Mod Podge, watered down a little. It turned out alright, but the inaccuracy was bothering me down the road, so I ended up snipping these off. It doesn't look half bad. I use this bundle of paper towel here, stuffed into the top, to protect the clear plastic on top from the spray prime I'm going to give it. 2 coats of black primer later, I take a slightly watered down black paint, just a cheap one, to try to get into the spots my spray primer missed. Now the majority of Phalanx's body and the hoplite slime and all that is kind of a black, but I didn't want to just do black, as I felt like it was kind of missing some depth. So I wanted to go for an oil slick kind of appearance. So I start off on the black primer with a dry brush of silver, making sure not to get any, into the crevices and cracks and whatnot. Next I follow this up with a really watered down of contrast shyish purple with the metallic silver underneath with the purple on top. This gives a really nice metallic purple shine to the body that I think just looks more interesting than a flat black. Next I take some gold paint and do all of the gold ornamentation found on the shields and the spears. After giving all of the shields a light black wash, I'm calling it done. all in all, I'd say I really had fun with this project. I like, well, it was a little more simple than Vanguard. It had less of a rigid structure to it, and building off of a dome like that is, I don't know, it's very, I'd say therapeutic, I guess. I'm glad I finished this in time for the Demon Souls remaster. Sadly, I'm gonna have to wait to get a PS5, so I don't get to celebrate with everybody else, but this video is kind of my celebration for it, I guess. I'm just honestly happy this remake exists in the first place. Demon Souls is easily one of my favorite games of all time now, and to see it get, you know, such recognition, to get a super cool remake and be a PS5 launch title and see it all over advertisements and shit it's really nice. As for the Demon Souls scratch builds here, I'm gonna take a little break from it for a little while. Scratch builds are very fun, and I absolutely love the final product, even if it's not, you know, super perfect, but sometimes it can get a little labor intensive, and I just kind of want to make something a little more normal for now. I got a bunch of Necrons from the Indomitus box, and I stumbled into some cheap warriors, and I got a cheap reanimator that I can convert, so I kind of just ended up with a 1500 point army, and it's not super hard to paint Necrons, so I figured I'd just take a week and a half to knock them out real quick. The scratch build series isn't going to go anywhere. I just kind of want to work on a model for now instead of making the model and then working on it. I also have to decide what boss I want to do next. The game opens up quite a bit after Phalanx. You can go to any of the 5 archstones, so my options are Tower Knight, Armor Spider, Fool's Idol, Adjudicator, and Leechmonger. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with human-sized bosses right now, and building Tower Knight, for lack of a better word, scares me. Armor Spider as well. That thing's fucking huge. I don't even know where I'm going to keep it after I'm done building it. So I'm kind of tempted to go to the World 4, World 5 route. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think I'm just going to take a little bit of a refresher and just build these Necrons, because they're pretty simple. Their lore kind of closely ties into my custom Space Marine chapter, the Tuatha Danann. So expect a trailer for them sometime soon, as I did for them. Also, I try not to ask people for viewer interaction, like, oh, like, fave, subscribe to see your boy do something else, haha, but because, I don't know, it feels a little patronizing to me. You know, most people watching this are an adult. You know how things go around here. If you like something, you like it, you sub, whatever. That being said, I am really close to 100 subscribers, and that is super cool to me. I kind of just made this channel to fuck around, and to think that there's almost 100 people who willingly watch me play with clay and make army men is really cool. Thank you to everybody who's ever watched any one of my videos. With that rambling out of the way, I don't know if people really celebrate 100 subscribers. Maybe we can kind of save that for a bigger sub count. I don't even know what I'd really do. If anybody has any suggestions or whatever, I'll gladly take them, but I'm willing to do something. I just don't know what the fuck it'd be, so yeah. That's completely up in the air, like most things in my life, and I just wait for it to rain down, and I kind of just go with the flow. But yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling, I guess. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next video, and no, that was it. Yeah, Umbasa.